You know the kind of stuff I would do as an investor? I'd fly out to Andre Blasco's house. I'd literally follow him, and then I'd buy him a drink at the bar, and then I'd finally mention, "Hey, you in the drug business? Oh, that's interesting." And I would literally like the kind of lengths I would go through to like figure this kind of stuff out is far beyond anything that like most people would. And if I talking to patients mattered, I talked to them. I was looking at a cancer drug the other day on my YouTube, and I called up the doctor who's doing the trial, and I flirted with the his assistant and offered to fly her to New York to figure this out. So if you think you know how to do this, I got news for you. Us guys on Wall Street, we know how to do this too. We're very, very good at it. It's just not useful. What's useful is how does the drug actually work? Why has this stuff never been published? Why are they always looking at subgroups? Why are they messing with the data? Why is this guy going to jail? That's the stuff that matters. Some random testimony from one patient. Look, some of these patients did better than they thought they would. Sure. But a lot of them did worse than they thought they would. What about this orange group that dropped 15 points? I mean, that's a fucking disaster in 2 years. No placebo patient drops 14 points in Alzheimer's in 2 years. So to me, again, I don't want to disparage anybody in their research method, but that's not a research method I believe in. And again, talk to, if you can, which not going to be easy, but talk to somebody at Baker Brothers, Perceptive, RTW, any Eco R1, RA Capital. These are just 4 randomly picked hedge funds that own, or you could be a Citadel or a Millennium or any professional firm, a Fidelity. A friend of mine has a family member at Fidelity who manages a biotech fund. And he said, "Martin, this is complete garbage." And he knows that these kinds of analysis using family members is not useful. Otherwise, he'd try to triangulate it that way. So I think that there's a difference between wanting something to work and then knowing it will work. And again, I would just encourage anybody who's making a bet on this to know that there are a million bets like this that you can make. There's one coming up very soon called Humacyte. Humacyte may get FDA approval, they may not. If you're good at this, bet on that. Let me know how it goes. There's another company called Cellas that's doing an AML drug. AML is a very underserved disease. There are very few drugs that work for it. Let me know if you think that drug will work. If you're right, you'll make 20x. If you're wrong, it'll drop 90%. So if you're good at betting on binary events, how come you're not betting on those? Those have a lot of upside and downside. You'll be rich very fast if you're good at this, if you're actually good at this. But you're not betting on whether you're actually good at this. You're betting because you want to gamble. If you actually understood medicine and understood how to scrutinize medicine carefully, you would make lots of these kinds of bets. And what you'd find is that you're probably no better than average. Maybe some of you are good at it. And I congratulate you because you'll soon be a billionaire, because this is a really, really rewarding game. You can make 10, 20, $50 million every time you make one of these bets. And the compounding works so well that there's a new trial every quarter. There's another trial coming up called Numora. Numora has a depression drug. It probably doesn't work. Just the other day, Alto Neuroscience failed their depression study. Everybody knew that wasn't going to work. The stock dropped 60%. If you had puts, you would have made 5x. But you're not looking at any of those. Why? Because you're really just convinced this one is good for you. Why? Maybe you saw it on a message board. Maybe somebody told you about it. But you're not doing this in a professional way. And I'm not talking about you specifically, Tariq. I'm talking about everyone in general. Because this is just fun. Like, oh, Alzheimer's drug, it might work. I might make 50x. Okay. Well, if you're good at this, don't bet your house. Bet half of whatever and do another one. And then do another one, do another one. And the reality is you probably are not going to do that because, if you were right here, let's say you were right. Let's say you had 100 grand in this and you made 50x. Now you have 5 million. Great. Cool. You have 5 million. I'd be more excited for you that you're going to turn that 5 million into 5 billion than the 5 million that you made here. Because if you made 5 million on this here, well, that's not that much money anyway. And I'm more excited that you're so good at analyzing clinical trials that the rest of your career, why wouldn't it? You would quit your day job. You would say, I'm a clinical trial professional now. I'm going to do this again. Give me the next biotech that's going to go up. Even if it's not going to go up 50x, what's the next one that's going to go up 5x, 10x? Let me get a gander at that. And when you find that, hey, you're going to turn your 5 million to 25. And then if you got another one, even if it doubles, now you're worth 50 million. Is that what's going to happen to your career? Probably not. I think you're going to get this one wrong. You're going to lose all of your money on it, and you're never going to look at a biotech stock again. That's been my experience with all the other shorts I've done over the years. Everyone tells me, "Oh, you're wrong about X. You're wrong about Y." Nobody ever says, "Hey, Martin, I stayed in biotech after that." In fact, one guy last night, the other day, he said, "If I get this wrong, I'm never doing another biotech stock again." Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, some of us have made this our career. So like we're trying to do our best to find the result, and we're not always right. Definitely not, especially other people. Um, I'm kidding, but even I'm not always right, and I accept that I could be wrong on this too. But ultimately, this is my vocation. This is my reputation, and I stand by everything I've said because I don't want to be embarrassed either. So patient testimonials is the kind of thing like a rookie would do who doesn't really understand what they're doing. Like the most important thing is where can I be wrong? Where are the necessary things that I need to get right so that I don't lose all my money? PK, mechanism, this whole ProTac or PPI idea, mild versus moderate, follow on effect. These are all things that are like gigantic red flags. My probability that this drug works is less than 0.01%. It is that impossible because all of those conditions need to be met. This is to be one of the first drugs ever where taking it for a year and then stop taking it still continues to work somehow magically, even though you don't have any drug in your system, still magically continues to work for 6 more months. Never heard of a drug like that. This also has to be one of the first drugs where it works for mild but absolutely doesn't work for moderate. This has to be one of the first drugs where somebody got arrested and it's still legitimate. This has to be one of the first drugs that stops a protein-protein interaction despite not being designed by a chemist or anybody with any experience. This is to be one of the first drugs that doesn't get into the brain but still helps brain disease. Like these are all impossible when you combine them all. The chances are zero. Now you might jump through the coals. You see people skip over the coals, the fire coals, and they get to the other side and they're like, oh, that was hot. Well, this is like doing that, but it's 10 miles long and your feet are tied and people are trying to shoot you with guns. You're not going to make it. You make it through the fire coals, and one of those stories that I just put out, okay, maybe it is the first ProTac or PPI that wasn't designed as just accidental PPI. Any chemist would tell you that's impossible, but all right, maybe that happened. Maybe the PK thing doesn't matter. 4-hour half-life, all of a sudden, that's a good thing. No, it's not, but let's say it doesn't matter. You still have like 4 more things I listed that you got to go through. All those hoops to jump. It's not possible. That's how I feel. John, are you a cassava bull or bear? You can indicate with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It'd be really helpful for us because I'm looking for somebody that really knows their stuff. Okay. Well, we'll just give it a few more minutes. Any cassava people, you like cassava, you think you're going to make some money, it's a great investment. Alzheimer's disease is about to be changed by this little scrappy little engine that could with no chemists or scientists. Who's got this? Who's got me beat? Who's smarter? Who's sharper? Who's done more research? Anybody? All right. Well, if that's that, I will start to bring this to an end. I hope you enjoy the call. If you want to short SAVA, I mean, I would just short the common stock. You could try to buy puts, you could sell calls, but I think just shorting the stock is fine. People complain about borrow rate, people compare about their downside, complain about their borrow rate, complain about their downside. I don't think it makes a difference.